Welcome to the Dassault Systèmes 3D Experience Forum North America. I'm Daniel Newman, Principal Analyst at Futurum Research, and I have a couple of very special guests here with me right now from Dassault Systèmes. Susan Olivier and Chris Colyer, welcome to our little conversation here at the forum. How are you guys today?
Great, very glad to be here.
Good to be here.
All right, just for the audience, why don't you guys go ahead and just introduce yourselves and tell everybody what it is that you do at Dassault.
I'm Chris Colyer. I have global responsibility for our consumer goods and retail industry. And just to quickly, what that defines is we have over 17,000 brands worldwide that use our solutions today, focused on fashion, home, lifestyle, and retail. So think of everything that you touch, wear, sit, use. That is what we do inside our industry across all of our solutions and our brands at Dassault.
Even these suede shoes.
Even those suede shoes.
We'll talk about that more in a minute. Susan?
So Susan Olivier, I'm part of Chris's team, VP for Business Development at Dassault Systèmes. And I've been here almost 8 years, but I've got 30 years retail and consumer goods background prior to joining DS. And what attracted me to the company was the ability, as Dean said this morning, to be part of the team that's skating to where the puck is going to be. Really helping participate in solutions that are helping our customers to find the future.
I love that line. In my last book, I had a keynote, and that was a Wayne Gretzky,
I'm
Gretzky
Canadian.
quote. Yeah, so you know that.
I know that.
And I have borrowed that quote a few times myself, so I was quite fond of that. I felt very proud to see such a high-level person using the same quotes I'm using when I'm out speaking. So Chris, talk a little bit about the overall state of the consumer goods industry as it relates to what you guys are doing at Dassault.
Well, I think the consumer goods and retail industry is a fascinating industry because the products move so quickly and personalization is becoming paramount. So everybody knows personalization. It's kind of always been there. Somebody wanted to have their shirt monogrammed or something that or a bag monogram, but you're seeing it now permeate across devices and products that you would never think of. Today on your kitchen counter, you have personalized coffee makers. Nespresso has personalized the coffee experience in different color palettes, different shapes, different forms. You have personalization that's taking place in terms of footwear. Athletes today getting customized shoes in particular games in that side. So this world of the consumer goods is evolving and changing so fast. And coupled with that, everything around social media. Think of everybody using Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. Everybody wants to be seen wearing something different. So that not only is it, I'm going to create my own silhouette and image of myself and project that, I want to project that and look different. And so you're seeing this proliferation of consumer goods across the globe.
Yeah, we're seeing that too with the avatars on the new devices and the 3D holograms of ourselves and the imagery. It's crazy. But what your guys are speaking about that is so interesting is that this is personalization at a level that is achievable to everybody. Yep. So you mentioned, for instance, a high-level athlete getting a custom pair of shoes for a game. But I was in I think I was in London. I went to the Nike store, and using augmented reality, I was able to walk right into the store and custom design a shoe that I could buy, and either some of it could be done right there in the store with some simple additive type manufacturing that they did there, and some of it could be shipped out and then shipped to your. How are you guys? How is what you're developing, your solutions, helping companies create solutions like that for personalization?
So when you think about footwear, if we stay with that example, companies want to meet consumer expectations for unique products, but they still need to do it in a way that's profitable and repeatable for their shareholders or their owners. And so you've got a number of components that logically will work together. You need to offer to the consumer what does work and what doesn't work. So you might take a particular sport that you want to engage in. What's the performance level? What's the outsole characteristics that you need? How do I take a model of your foot, a 3D hologram of your foot, and is there a way I can adjust the outsole within given parameters? Then what tops go with that? Now, am I manufacturing the outsole in a nearshore factory and shipping that to you within 2 weeks? Am I doing it in additive manufacturing in the back room? That world is evolving very, very quickly. So it's well beyond cosmetics. It gets into fit, form, and function. But I still need to do it in a way that's commercially repeatable. Because if I truly was making a completely unique shoe just for each individual, it's very long, it's very complex, and it's very costly. So how do we do that in a way that supports modularization? How do I then store that data, the relevant components that do and don't work together, in a way that's repeatable? And so you've got some products that will be commercially available on the shelf, and you'll have some versions that will be available to personalize and adjust. And companies are moving and experimenting in that space and finding some very quick consumer uptake, good response, and so they're looking to extend that model.
Again, let me just hitchhike on that. A great example of that is New Balance. So if you look at New Balance and you go to their website, you go to their, and you can custom configure a New Balance 1 shoe. And basically what they do is it's a complete color palette. You design your own color palette of the shoe you want. They use a base shoe, so they have a very clear base shoe. They do all of their post-production manufacturing in the US, so that shoe shipped over from Asia, and then the final assembly is done in the US. They not only customize the shoe, then they deliver it. The shoes are never discounted. So and then they're able to take all of that data around how people are designing their color palettes to help them figure out how they design their next generation shoes across their entire collection.
So actually their mainstream shoe collection is based on the data they have acquired from all the...
And they're using all of our technology and all the rendering software. They're using all of our technology in terms of how they build their visual assortment plans, as well as all of the PLM backbone.
Let me make one point. I want to shift this to retail for a second, but before I do, experience is really a key word that, because a lot of the things you guys mention, it sounds very sophisticated, but that shopper that goes on New Balance or that walks into the Nike store, we've made this experience very frictionless. We've made it simple, where a user goes online and just like, ordering a movie on Netflix or something, they can design a custom piece of apparel or a shoe. And I think that experience, that's a software-driven, platform-driven outcome that is going to make this possible. And I think that's a lot of what you guys are doing, but I think you can't de-emphasize that, because a lot of it sounds complicated, but the average user can do this now.
Technology is beautiful when it's invisible.
And it's become that kind of transparent technology.
Yeah, and then like you touched on to begin with, the advent of new manufacturing capability moves you away from long supply chain, long lead times, long around how I do all of my supply chain demand planning. And now I'm able to do it much more connected, closer to where that individual is going to be buying the product. So if you look at companies that are looking at footwear, looking at additive manufacturing, you're going to get to where you're going to go inside that store and they're going to make that shoe on site for you.
Yeah, it's really crazy, and this all then feeds back to that 360-degree customer journey that so many brands are trying to get at, because you've now gotten to a very intimate piece of apparel, someone's shoe, and you've seen exactly what they like, their taste, even how they went through the process of designing it and how long it took them to make a decision to ultimately buy it. I mean, that data becomes very, very interesting.
Well, it's hugely valuable, and as Chris mentioned, the social aspect. It's interesting, if you go and look at a lot of different shoe websites, there's a lot of shades of gray shoes out there. That's because as much as we see color on a number of athletes, people would go on, they would customize, play with the shoes, not necessarily buy them, but share an image with their friends. And you're collecting all that data about what color palettes people are thinking about. And that allows you then even to take your production shoes and use that social sentiment and feedback into your commercial
behavioral
lines.
Data for predictive analytics.
Yep.
So let's shift to retail. How do you guys see these sort of capabilities in personalization being leveraged to create maybe a new retail experience? And just a caveat, off screen, I kind of mentioned to you guys my belief that retail will have a renaissance, right? I think it's going to be new technology, new ideas, innovation, disruption that's going to lead to people walking back into stores and being more excited about it again. Maybe putting more pressure on Amazon. How do you see all this sort of shifting retail?
Retail's always been a social experience. I think we sometimes forget. Even in the days of people living in far-flung communities and waiting for the Sears catalog and spending hours with it by the fireplace, you still went into the store to socialize, to connect with people, to touch and feel the goods. And I think in the consumer products industry, we're moving to an era of showrooming, the same as has been true for the car industry for a long time. But it's still social, and so stores are offering free Wi-Fi. Why? Because I want to take a picture of myself in different outfits and put it on Instagram or put it on Facebook and see what my friends think. If they're not physically able to shop with me, I still want that input. And stores that are making that easy for people, frictionless as you mentioned, are developing the business. Now, stores are moving from a place of storage to story. And how do I entice you into my store and make it a more pleasurable experience for you to stay longer, share with your friends, explore the inventory that I have, but I don't necessarily have every style and every size and every color because I'm not inventorying it. And as Chris says, I can use additive manufacturing, I can use digital textile printing, which is also enjoying a renaissance. I can use nearshore manufacturing for faster turn times in this personalization, mass customization concept to better fulfill what the consumer wants. And it might be a 2-week delivery, not a 2-minute delivery, but people are increasingly understanding I can get more of what I want with a little bit of wait time. Stores benefit because they're not holding inventory, they're not marking it down. And so you're building in that experiential value and you're making it more profitable for the retailer at the same time. Not everybody can get that, not everybody can make that transformation, but I think those will be the retail winners of the future.
Yeah, Starbucks, when they developed their modern store, they kind of were looking to develop a third place, is what they called it. Mm-hmm. It sounds to me like retail is sort of taking a similar approach. Now I understand, obviously, both are consumer oriented, but the department store had sort of lost that luster for a time. Like nobody goes in anymore and hangs out at the Sears. Like that's just not what you do. The shoe stores, like some of the brands have created more experiential stores, but Foot Locker was no longer kind of a place where people were going to go and just hang out. So it sounds like they're trying to kind of lure people in. Chris, I got to wrap it here in a minute, but what do you see, just to kind of build on what Susan said, as some of the ways that retail can be disruptive and create the experience that's going to bring people back, maybe beyond what Susan had already presented?
Well, I think one is back to the word experience. It's like you got to create an environment that people want to go to, and that environment needs to be broader than just dry goods that I'm trying to go parcel and sell. And so I think a lot of companies are thinking through what that is. I think the other thing is you got to make the stores come to life. And so one of the areas that we're focused on is how do we help companies through our technology digitally outline a store and give the look and feel of what you want to have before you're actually making the products. Because then I can design to how I want it presented instead of design and build my collections and then just ship it off to the store and hope that they get assembled and viewed in the right way. And then I think the other piece is how do I build the channels that become seamless? So I get incredible digital renderings of my products that can be utilized in terms of the web or any other digital way that I want to look at my products, in a way then that I get excited to come to the stores. And I think I think we're still in the infancy of the internet in terms of its capability of really showcasing products. And I think you see all those changes. And I think people still love the touch and feel of especially in the consumer goods side, because it becomes something that they're very well connected to.
Yeah, the omni-channel experience in its true power is when the technology is leveraged at both edges, right? Yep. The edge of the home, the edge of your mobile device, and when you set foot inside the retail environment. So Susan and Chris, thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you, David.